a way that it wasn't 4 years ago, right?
Well, even in addition to the social issues, let's talk about economic issues. Buck and I were talking earlier, and we grew up Catholic, went to Catholic school, and the Catholics that we knew were very much sort of enchanted by the social justice policies that are in direct opposition to Catholic doctrine, which prizes small government instead of big government. Why did this happen, and why are the Obama-Biden messages of big government and social justice and welfare working with these voters?
Yeah, you can understand it with Obama's election because it was this great moment for social justice in the sense of dealing with the issue of racism, right? But now, 4 years into this administration, what does social justice mean in an Obama administration now? Well, what does it mean? It really means wrapping big government and the welfare state in the language of faith, giving it a patina of respectability, trying to claim the moral high ground when really, it seems to me, this has very little to do with Catholic teaching, the great advance of government. If you look at the Catholic encyclicals over the last 100 years on its social teaching, social justice, they all warn against the very thing the Obama administration has been trying to create, which is a massive welfare state.
Certainly you don't help poverty by creating more of it. But I want to ask you something specifically about Biden and his take on his Catholicism from the debate. You know, at one point on the issue of life, on his not standing with the church, being pro-life, he made this speech. It was sort of it was really amazing to me because it showed a fundamental, foundational fallacy, if you will, as opposed to how he approaches his public life. Because he said that he recognized as an individual that he's pro-life, which would mean that he understands this to be a life, therefore it's worthy of protection from the state. This is the most basic of things. But then he says that as a public official, I wouldn't enforce that upon people. I mean, this is an argument that's been repudiated time and again through our country's history. It's not something, you cannot be moral for you, but other people get to choose.
No, that's
if it's
relativism.
moral, it must be moral. That is relativism. We have seen this before in major public policy issues, and I just feel like Catholics wake up on this issue. I mean, Joe Biden is just dancing around this issue, and he's being a slimy politician, and there's a morality here that is not subject to discussion if he believes what he says he believes.
Yes, and I would go even further. It is rank hypocrisy, and that's the reason why a Catholic bishop has prevented Joe Biden from receiving communion in his diocese. And in Catholic teaching, I don't agree with whole Catholic theology and all, but look, in Catholic doctrine, to be denied communion is to be denied access to eternal life. That's how serious the Catholic Church takes the issue of abortion. So when Joe Biden says he's a practicing Catholic all his life, well, at some point you have to ask the question, a practicing Catholic has to put his beliefs into practice, not just in his private life, but in his public life.
But Professor Joe, what about Catholic voters, though? I mean, you could point out the hypocrisy of Joe Biden. You could say the same of Catholic voters who have voted for the winning candidate since the mid-'90s, including Bill Clinton, and as he pointed out, Barack Obama. Barack Obama won the Catholic vote much bigger than John Kerry did. In fact, John Kerry lost the Catholic vote to George Bush. So what about these Catholic voters who apparently are willing to also make this compromise? Kate O'Byrne has written many times in the past that Catholic voters, they're actually really like average swing voters, and these issues of life and Catholic issues aren't really necessarily the pivotal ones for Catholics.
Yes, you put the question on the quality of the Catholic faith, the Catholic voters in Ohio and around the country. What is the quality of the Catholic faith? Are they Thomas More Catholics? You know, Thomas More, who stands against an unjust political authority and literally puts his neck on the line, literally? Are they those kinds of Catholics? Or are they Joe Biden Catholics, which is go along to get
Nancy
along.
Pelosi is Catholic.
Go along to get along.
But Joe, let's talk about social justice for a moment, because it seems to be that's the driving force on many of these Catholic votes. And I think we've even heard it from some of the hierarchy within the Catholic Church. That, for example, Paul Ryan's budget cuts from welfare programs and so forth, Medicare, Medicaid. And that seems to be a big problem for much in the Catholic Church. Talk to me about the social justice aspect of this.
Yeah, this is where the Catholic bishops are good on abortion, they're good on marriage, they're good on religious liberty, they're terrible on social justice. And so the Catholic bishops, for example, they opposed the Welfare Reform Act in 1996, opposed it, because they didn't think somehow it lived up to their understanding of a just state. Whereas we all now know that Welfare Reform Act did the most to advance human dignity, the most to advance the dignity of work than any piece of legislation we've seen in about 30 years. But the Catholic bishops were on the wrong side of the question.
But is there just a sense that the government is a reflection of our morals as a society, you know, overall? Because is there no distinguishment between government and the force it employs and your own charity? Is there no distinguishment within that Catholic ideology?
That's where I think the Catholic bishops and many religious left, Jim Wallace on the evangelical left, Catholic bishops and other religious liberals, they don't appreciate this realm of civil society, the private sector, which all the Catholic encyclicals have paid attention to, the importance of private charity, the importance of private associations, and government at the local level. They've emphasized state and statism. In other words, they've bought into the assumptions of the age.
Joe,